That's right. That was a very
Kauai is my favorite. I took Sarah on her 50th.
Yeah, I mean, I know.
15 days. I attended. There's 6 Rotary clubs on the island. I did every one. I've been a Rotary for about 40 years. I did. They had either breakfast or lunches and one dinner. It was fun because we met many people, you know, that live there.
So you know
Yes.
Well, good afternoon. This is a thrill. It really is. Jim asked me, well, how many people do you think we should get ice cream bars for? And I said, I really have no clue, but if we're more than 3, won't that be enough? Yeah, and in fact we are. We have probably two bars of ice cream each now. And don't be scorning at people if they come through the door, because it means that you get less ice cream. I think we're going to be all right. This is just a real joy for me, and I want to thank the members and friends of Pioneer for having me, for making this space available to me, for gracing me with the opportunity to share something new that is budding in my life now that I've reached that golden age, whatever that is. I think it's 71 now. And I put behind me just recently my clergy guard. And speaking with all due respect to our Pastor Doug here, there came a time for me where I just need to set that behind me and say, okay, Lord, what would you like me to do next? And I was happy to hear somewhere in my psyche or in my soul the words, well done, good and faithful servant. You go out and have some fun. And I know that you will, in just being you, you will have a way to share some of your enthusiasm that will be of some encouragement to other people who are on a journey as well. So I want to introduce to you, now that I've welcomed you, I'd like to introduce you to my friends up here. This is Puka. Now, Puka is a double-hole concert ukulele, and Puka in Hawaiian is whole. So this is a double Puka concert ukulele, and I call her Puka. And this is Tanner. Tanner is my workhorse. He is the one who has been with me through most of the composing of these songs that you're going to hear, and just has a lovely tone. And this is a koa wood that is unique to Hawaiian islands, and this is a cutaway, so that I can do some cool things up here. And I have plenty of room for my hand to go up there. So once in a while you'll see me going up there with the tenor, which is pretty darn cool. And I like tenor. I like my other friend up here too. This is Bear. And Bear is a 6-string baritone ukulele. 6-string baritone. And it's also referred to as a guitar lele. A guitar lele. It's tuned on the guitar, has a nice rich tone to it, and I like to use it for picking. And I think that when I do hymns and that sort of thing, I'll probably be inclined to go with this instrument. This is my Bear, and I'm going to use Bear just for one song today, one that I'm still learning the words to, even though I composed it quite a number of years ago, and the funny thing is that truth is, in later life, one of the joys is that you can just break free, but one of the challenges is that if you're going to do lyrics, they come a little slower. And my granddaughter, Tev, had about 2 weeks exposure to that song, Nellie Maple, song I wrote about my golden retriever. And she just got all the words down. So she's belting out the song in front of the microphone. And I'm still struggling just to read the words correctly. And she says, oh, that's not right. I said, I'll tell you what, you just keep going and I'll follow along. And that's why it's still going for us with this song. But I'm going to do it anyway. It's really quite special.
Gary?
Yes.
For us uneducated music people,
yeah.
Why is it ukulele instead of ukulele?
Well, is the pronunciation. Ukulele, most people will say ukulele, and that's fine. So, if you want to refer to these as my...
But the refined musician would call it the ukulele?
My understanding is the correct pronunciation is ukulele. Ukulele, yeah. Taking after probably the Hawaiian island dialect is my guess. Yeah. Well, how about if I start by introducing my book, and I'm just so happy to have this available because it contains a lot of promptings over the course of the last few years as I've come to terms with growing older and just what does it mean for me and where do I get my signals, where to go and what to think about myself and others around me. And I've had the pleasure of compiling these and now publishing them. And I have to say, at the very start of this project, and now into performing some of these songs that are recorded in the book, there is this little voice that says, "What in the world are you doing? Why would anyone really want to read any of this? And why would anyone want to come and listen to the songs that you?" Whatever that voice is, it kind of gets to you sometimes. And hello and welcome. So, and then I would think, okay, we're talking about a movement where people become aware of what it is that is what older life can bring you. And that's such a big subject. You know, how do you age well? And here I am thinking, okay, I'm going to be an advocate for wellness in later life. I'm just one little voice, and I play these little instruments, and it makes you wonder, well, what difference can I possibly make? And I think it was in that spirit of questioning just how, if I find my voice, will anyone really care to listen to it? That I wrote this opening poem that I want to share with you, and it's in the section of the book. One Small Voice, and this is the poem, My One Small Voice. Mine is one small voice, strong in the song, that stirs the world to dancing. Whether a place of solitude and beauty, isolation or despair, mine is one small voice, in a song always there, young, old, and ageless, sounding like a song, reading like the ancient story, this my one small voice, harmonizing with the source of life, dancing in the oldest form, this my oneness with God.
Strong in the song of cosmic romance, alive, I find, in step with the wind, in pace with grace, this dance never ends. Strong in the song I chant the dance, strong in the song of cosmic romance. Surprised, I rise by lifting others up. Below I go with love's common cup. In these old bones, a new lease on life, filling up my heart with joy and delight. Strong in the song I chant the dance, strong in the song of cosmic romance. This dance in a glance, a glorious rebirth, a song sung in one that fills me with worth. Strong in the song I chant the dance, strong in the song of cosmic romance. Glorious,
So, my wife Carol and I were up on Whidbey Island where we have opportunity to live as well. And we helped out over the course of the week a vacation Bible school. Now, I'm telling you, there's a lot of energy in vacation Bible school, especially if there are children involved. And we had the assignment to be outdoors every day with about 50 kids, not all at once, but they came in streams. And we spent the week talking about and doing crafts and the like about the energy of God's love being like seeds. And we looked in the meadow, in the outdoors, and there's seeds everywhere. We talked about how seeds are planted in us and how that energy, everybody's got their own name for what that energy of the universe is. And we've got our ideas in the Christian side of the house, and other people use different language, but it's what makes life come into being and stirs us to be alive. And so we talked about that all week long, singing songs and doing crafts, and we just found it so interesting that with every seed, it's a sign to us that there's energy creating life and renewing life all the time. It's just a marvelous thing to behold. When I was downtown in Astoria a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to meet our Oregon poet laureate. His name is Kim Stafford. He's the son of William Stafford. I'm pretty sure if you know poetry at all, you know William Stafford. Kim is very active in creative writing as well. And he wrote a collection of verse called Earth Verse. And one of the pieces was one he called I Am the Seed. And I said to him, I really like your poem. I wonder if you wouldn't mind me putting it to music. And he said, I'm fine with it. He wrote me a permission slip to publish the book with his words in it. And I said, and if it makes big bucks, I will expect you to talk to me. We'll see about the big bucks.
Every chance I get, any place I fit, in a cleft to grit, in ravine or pit, quiet and wit, or house I split. I am the sea. After fire feet, after cloud of grief, both life be brief, I stop relief, I relief, in all relief. Small as a bee, tell me your need, hungry I'll be, in your beauty, I will begin. I am the sea, fell to the ground without a sound, by rainfall down, by sunlight bound, by wonder crowned, by grace profound. I am the sea. Oh, the Lord is good to me, so I thank the Lord for giving me the things I need, the sun and the rain and the apple seed. Oh, the Lord is good to me. And every seed I sow will grow to a tree, and someday there'll be apples there for everyone in the world to share. The Lord is good to me. I wake up every day as happy as can be, because I know the Lord is there watching over one like family. Oh, the Lord is good to me. We're like apples, you and me. It's the apples on God's tree. Apples, sweet and ripe, shiny apples in God's sight. Yes, the Lord is good to us, so we thank the Lord for giving us
just the things we need, the sun and the rain and the what? Apple seed. Oh, the Lord is good to us. And if you're at Bible camp, you would sing this. Amen. 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 To I am. There's a little bit of it. Thank you. Yeah, what fun. That's hookah for you. Yeah, cute little thing. So, you're probably wondering, what am I doing up here? Am I taking texts or something? And no, actually what I have up here is a app that controls my PA system. Can you believe that? I didn't know it was a thing, but it is. And here we go. I'm just going to turn it to the settings for tenor, because tenor has his own idea of what's required for a good sound. And I want to explain how I ended up in Oregon, and I'll keep it short. I took an interim position a few years ago, and I was a pastor at First Lutheran for almost 2 years. And then I retired. For the last time as a parish pastor, I retired. And then we fell in love with the condos on the Columbia River, where my mother-in-law lives. And while we love being on Whidbey, I love being on the river. And we thought it might be a great idea if we could have a place here where we could be just a few doors down from my mother-in-law, and we could be present for her, and I could enjoy some time on the river to do my creative thing, and Kara would spend a lot of her time up on Whidbey in order to tend to the children, because grandchildren have lots of special concerns as the pandemic has pushed the envelope on school and the like, so she's been able to be really helpful to her. So that's how I ended up here. And then when I started looking out the window, I noticed that, there is something that's magical about watching the river. First of all, it's very busy. If you've ever spent any time, I know the Shannons and my neighbors here at Deb, they spend a goodly amount of time looking out their windows too. You can't really help it, because not only is there all the river traffic, but there's all the wildlife. It's just amazing. Yeah, if you spend any time looking out the window, you see all sorts of fascinating and fun things. And it also stirs your creative juices, at least it does for me. And for me, I go to verse and song. So, looking out the window, I write, and in a glance, with pen in hand, I pluck words like fish from the water, and the river helps me write. Yeah. And there was one of the mornings I looked out the window. We have a wonderful east exposure, so we see the sunrise each morning when we have any kind of view of the sun. And then comes a lot at this time of the year. Awakened by the beauty of dawn. This is my reflection on the song I'm about to sing. Awakened by the beauty of dawn over the lower Columbia River, I realized what the ancient psalm writer declared, that the mighty one, God the Lord, speaks and summons the earth from sunrise to sunset. Psalm 36, 8 and 9. And they feast from still another verse of the Psalms. They feast on the abundance of your house, and you give them a drink from the river of your delights. For with you is the fountain of life, In your light, we see light. This song is Brand New Day. It's morning, Lord, we need you to bring me. I preach you to you paint the sky, hearts open to God's beauty. Your face on high, in the dark, in the light, rain on one side, and you alone be praised. Yes, you, our Lord, in your life in every way, and thank you for this brand new day. Right night, we see your trail of oneness. Your grace is sign through clouds and rain. Your voice is what a comfort. A glad refrain. In hearts our cares, rainbow promise always there, and you alone be praised. Yes, Father, to life from your river of delight, we thank you for this brand new day. Tomorrow, we sing your larger song today, and we thank you for this brand new day. Yes, we thank you for this brand new day. Yes. Thank you. So, what's been fascinating about coming to terms with, or coming to know the classic plains is the history of the daffodil, and how this congregation has played such a key role in giving the public a clear view of what this plains has been known for years and years. And I can still picture this past year, I had the opportunity to take some pictures and so on, of all the people who got their hands in the dirt and plucking the flowers, and it reminded me of how important it is to be in touch with the land. There's so much to learn from the land. There's so much that our ancestors have learned, and the ancients in this area, they took their lead from the land. And I have to say that in my family, we are just regaining that connection with the land. My grandfather was an orchardist in Virginia, and before he lost that orchard in the Depression, he grew beautiful apples and sent most of them to England at that time. But the family, all 6 boys, they spent a lot of time wandering about the big cities and in and out of factories, and it's only in the next generation of people, namely my siblings and others, other cousins and so on, who've really said, we've got to get back to the land. So every one of my siblings is into gardening and growing trees and so on. So I know that's where things are going for me as well. I really want to be in touch with the land, and I want to fall in love all over again with Mother Earth. And I think that when we're in touch with the land, we're in touch with our Maker. And Carol likes to think, my wife likes to think that I wrote this song with her in mind. But I said it's with you in mind and with everyone that I love. And she goes, oh yeah, sure. But nevertheless, whenever I play it, she likes to think that it's her song. And I say, sure, it's your song. It's called Walk in the Orchard. I want to walk in the orchard. Walk in the orchard. I want to walk in the orchard. Song me encourage. So like a breeze you encourage. And your voice like a bird sings on branches. Stirring my heart to dancing. Dancing with you. The trees, laughter and love, just you and me. Oh, let the sun smile on our faces, smile with your light on our faces. Always on my side, and so never need I hide. Dancing with you among the trees, laughter and love, just you and me. Here I am, love never dies, and so therefore I'll abide, dancing with you on the trees, laughter and love is you and me. Fresh and free. Can't you see him dancing out there? Yeah. Oh, it's like Carol thought it might be a good idea to have a home concert. Get together in the living room, bring maybe 5-10 people together. This is just like a living room setting. It's so nice. Javier has a real neat place to gather, and it's nice. So I'm going to share a little bit from my heart about the land, about Mother Earth. The more that I become acquainted with the state of affairs, and we hear a lot of it in the news all the time, the more I realize we're in a tough spot. And I can tell you that when I was younger, I gave little thought to care of the planet. I was impressed with intelligent, enterprising people who could turn a profit on good use of the land. Now that I'm a little older and thinking about what I'm leaving for my grandkids and their kids, I'm suddenly reviewing that whole notion. And I'm thinking, there's probably a more sustainable way that we can live on this planet. In fact, it's not only possible, but it is mandated by just the circumstances we're in. And then I think, well, how's that going to turn people's minds and hearts to really making a change? Because it's not easy. Carol's about 2 years, 3 years, maybe a whole decade ahead of me, and coming up with just a mindset and living out of that mindset that, you choose glass over plastic when you go to the grocery store. And you choose to, harvest your own garden vegetables rather than bring home a bunch that you are in plastic bags and the like at grocery store. No, I don't want anybody uncomfortable. I go to the grocery store and I bring home plastic bags. But I'm beginning to feel like, is that the best I can do? At least I'm beginning to ask the question, in what ways can I be more loving of the earth and care enough to make a few choices, some of them perhaps a little harder. So then I go out and I buy an SUV, and I'm driving this huge car that, granted, it's not as bad a gas guzzler as I've had in years past, but it's still very, very far from where I'd like to be. But I'm on the journey. And I think that one of the reasons that I feel especially committed to that now is that I've actually felt the voice of Mother Earth saying, please hear me. Hear me. I'm telling you, we're in trouble. And that's what this song is about. It's responding to the voice of Mother Earth and a call to enter into a relationship with the planet. Not just as an object that we have to try to figure out how to use or how to handle, how to care for, but how do we, as though a loving relationship, how do we enter into that relationship in a new way? And this is called a Gaia side. And Gaia is, I know it's pulled out of Greek mythology, but for me, Gaia means God's, the source of life that is revealed in Mother Earth, revealed in nature. And so that's what this song is entitled, A Gaia Sigh.
against the rise. Rise for righteousness' sake. Rise up for salvation, rise. No time for us to wait. Rise up, voice of wisdom, rise. Stir creation's life. Rise up, voice of wisdom, rise. Pray now on earth be happy. Pray now on earth be happy. Pray now on earth be happy. O Ancient of Days, Father of creation, Mother of all blessings, as workers with you for earth's well-being, we breathe in and we breathe out slowly, mindful of our oneness with you beyond time, seeking to act wisely on your behalf, to be the best earth lovers, the best earth defenders we can be, for newness of life, today and for all the days on earth we're given, and may this be so. Amen and amen. Amen. Well, that's a little bit serious. I like to have songs be pretty cheery, but there is a song, a sequel to that song. It's called The Alive. It's the title of my book, and called The Alive is about, in the light of all of the seriousness, comes this amazing hope, and that's stirring people, not the kind of relative hope that so much of what we operate with dictates, but it's a hope that's in us, plain and simple. There's nothing we can do about it. It's there, and it shows up. It stirs us in ways that we find ourselves surprised sometimes. So it's not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a new chapter. But there's a part of us that keeps arguing in another part of our minds that, well, I haven't been able to do this, and I didn't do that. You heard maybe my voice when we were talking about my struggle that I have trying to be conscious of and do things for a friend. And that's across the board. I tend to find fault and struggle with where I fit in the scheme of things, and that is simply not reality. Reality is that we're embraced. We're apples in the Creator's eye, and that never changes. But our minds have a way of making it change. We start to decide what is the future, and we decide how much we're going to be able to do or what we can't do, and that sort of thing. And we feel separated from our source, and our ego gets bruised in the process. And I was thinking about that when I wrote this song, and I have to say that the reason that I wrote this song is also because Carol said, "You can't play the blues on an ukulele." And there was a little voice deep in my soul that said, "Oh yes, I can." Well, I've taken it all and lost my reason to shine. Yeah, I've taken it all and lost my reason to shine. Can't find my way, yeah. I'm at the end of my line. Oh, laying up all. What's the worth of it all? so small. Yes, I fell down and bruised my soul. I fell down and bruised my soul. If I was wrong, I sure didn't know. I say, hey, hey, hey. Oh, you just say it. Oh, hey, hey, hey. Tell me what you say. Even if I knew, I'd have bruised it anyway. Stir in my soul, and I see something sweet. Lord, stir in my soul, and I see something sweet. I'm taking a brand new song. You just stir it up in me. Yes, teach me how to sing these apple cider blues. Teach me how to sing, how to sing, how to sing apple cider blues. Take my everything, give me a taste in the room. I say, hey, hey, hey. Oh, you say, hey, hey, hey. Tell me what I say. Sing music, sweet song. Just show me the way. Yes, teach me how to sing these apple cider blues. Teach me how to sing, how to sing, how to sing these apple cider blues. Take my everything, make me tasty new blues.
Thank you so much.
That would be good at the Waterfront Blues Festival.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Maybe next year, huh?
Maybe. Yeah, it could happen. I don't know where this is going. I really don't. I'm just having some fun, and as long as it's fun, and if it seems like people would like to hear it, even if they don't want to hear it, I'm prepared to just keep making music, and I think that's the cool part. I don't have to earn a living doing this, but it certainly is life-giving for me. You know what I'm looking for right now? Can you tell me what it might be?
Bear.
I'm looking for bear. That's right. Yeah, this is bear. And I am graced with a golden retriever. Melly and I have been together for 10 years now. It'll be 11 in October. And I brought her to live the island when I first came out to the Pacific Northwest after a big life change that prompted me to start over on the island. And Melly just understood that this was going to be a journey. And she was there for me in my adjustment times, and I'm still adjusting. I would say that she taught me to really get out in nature regularly, enjoy walks, and enjoy routine, while at the same time I enjoy stepping away from any kind of rigid schedule. And she kept me kind of in line. And now, in this past year, Melly has lost her sight, which I didn't see coming. And now she's teaching me to walk in faith as I grow older. Because you can't really depend on your sight, however you want to understand sight, being literal or figuratively speaking. She's teaching me the amazing way that you can just take one step at a time. I'm the one watching out for her. She's no longer watching out for me. Although she will let some people know if she gets surprised in the parking lot. And my neighbors can tell you about that. Yeah. This is called Nellie Maple. She was born in the color of the fall one year, golden fur, long curly. Mama and her papa were show dogs, so this full honey took a different course, my golden. There was love and grace in her big brown eyes, dog paw power twice her size. She smiles and she wags when she says hello. She stole my heart from head to toe, like golden. Rich full of honey, so friend and sunny, companion to the end. She flies on a green bank hill. The way she runs is a mountain and thrill. Turns on a dime when my whistle plays. Sits on a bench where her daddy prays, my golden. She holds booties on her paws like a bobby wish. She doesn't seem to mind, doesn't act confused. Lies at my feet and follows me around. At night she sleeps where her baby bears found. Mary Maple, rich full of honey, so friend and sunny, companion to the end. When my soul's afraid, she's a nature today, causing me to smile, go love's way. When my heart grows cold and my soul's dark, she makes me pose with the spirit's spark. My Nellie Maple, Nellie Maple, rich full of honey, so friend and sunny, companion to the end. I love that, Nellie. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's the problem with, well, it's what comes with having a daughter. You don't live as long, typically, as you do. And you deal with that, I guess. I will learn. My wife's been through a couple of burials lately, her pets, and you grow to really appreciate the life you have with them, don't you? Isn't that the way it is with life and death? We learn so much from death. So I'm on the fast track, anticipating something coming up with Melly, but we're just really relishing the time we have together right now. So I'm back to which one? Which? This is tenor. Yeah. Now, when we were talking to the children about the energy of God's love and every seed we see and the seeds that were sown in us, and that we didn't stop there. We talked about every molecule moves, every atom in creation moves, and we can interpret that in a lot of different ways. But the universe is filled with energy that creates matter, and then matter disperses and more comes. And if you have a scientific mind, like a couple of my friends here, you could probably explain it better than I. But my point is that I think the ancients already understood that before scientists figured out what's actually going on. They realized there's an energy in the world, in the universe, that stirs us to life and renews our life throughout our lifetime, and promises, and in that energy we are held to a hope that there will be new life coming after the wave, one wave after another. The prophet Isaiah, recorded in the 55th chapter of Isaiah, talks about the very all of nature coming alive, and because not a single word, not a single bit of that energy of God's love that is sent out comes back empty. It creates something new. And so this song is about it's about all of creation coming alive in praise and thanksgiving for the source of life. It's called Hallelujah Yahweh. Yahweh is a name that is attributed to God, and Hallelujah is like Hallelujah. And I just kind of put those two together in the way it's ring to them. The seed of your word, Yahweh, you plant in our hearts, Yahweh, and there we will grow, Yahweh, in rooted love every day. And there will be shouts of joy, and there will be peace, like a song brings release, and the mountains and streams will burst forth their song with the trees of the fields, and we'll walk by the Lord. So let us go forth, Yahweh, with joy in our hearts, Yahweh. Bear your fruit, Yahweh, in abundance of life always. And there will be shouts of joy, and there will be peace, like a soft breeze release, and the mountains and streams will burst forth their song with the breeze of
shouts of joy, and there will be peace like a soft breeze through leaves, and the mountains and hills will burst forth with song, and with the trees of the fields will clap along.
I have just something I'm going to read from my book, and I'll see if I can do that. Well, I'll just set tenor down. Tenor is very versatile, really. Rolls with it. Page 27, as we get close to the end of our concert here, I just wanted to share with you what I wrote in reflection on this song called Happy Clappy. Happy Clappy. With so much in the world that is serious and somber, I am moved by the words of William Blake to sing a happy song with my ukulele, honing the glad talents of play and imagination. There is in me a longing for a holy lightness of being, free to enjoy, imagine, and create. So today, in our midst, in the midst of all that calls for a song of lament, I will, by the grace of God, rally in divine goodness to write and sing songs of joy and laughter the child in me longs to hear. Yeah. And I will say there's another motivation behind my writing this song, and I get a kick out of it every time I think about it. And that is, I was at a church. We were getting ready for a retreat, and the retreat was about harvesting wisdom in our later life. And we wanted to have some songs that we would include. And one of the members of the church, God bless her, she was a great person. But she said, "Oh, you need to know we don't do happy clappy songs in this church. That's just not what we do." And those words keep ringing through my head because that same voice that said to Carol, "Oh yes, I can," it stirred again and said, "Oh yes, we can sing happy clappy songs." And I can tell you that folks at Pioneer are very friendly to happy clappy. Even from the pulpit, which is pretty darn special. It's very nice to be able to do that. So this is called Happy Clappy.
Strolling down the valley smile, strolling song to me. On a cloud I saw a child, and he laughed and said to me, "Strung the song about a little lamb, so I strung here every time. I strung that song again, so I strung here every year. Singing happy songs of cheer, the child that belongs to hear. Singing happy clappy songs of cheer, the child may joy to hear. Every child may joy to hear." Strolling down the valley's wild, strolling souls green. On a cloud I saw a child, he laughed and said to me, "Drop your youth, your happy youth, clap your happy songs of cheer. So clap them sang the same again while you wept with joy here. Yes, the clap sang the same again while you wept with joy here. It's a happy, happy, happy sound with money to go round. It's a happy, happy, happy sound with money to go round. Strolling down the valleys wild, strumming songs of glee. On the cloud I saw a child and he laughed with me. Minstrel, sit you down and write in gold, they'll read. Sir vanished from my sight as old some words like seeds. And I used my heavy pen, and I strained my conscience clear, and I wrote a happy, laughing song that child may go to hear. Every child may go to hear. Singing and clapping songs of cheer, the child may long to hear. Singing and clapping songs of cheer, the child may go to hear. Every child may go to hear. Strumming down the valleys wild, strumming songs of glee. On a cloud I saw a child and he laughed and said to me, rock your youth, you're happy youth, clap your happy songs of cheer. So we clapped and sang the same again while we wept with joy to hear. Yes, we clapped and sang the same again while we wept with joy to hear. Happy sound with money to go round. It's a happy, happy, happy sound with money to go round. Singing happy, happy songs of cheer, child may long to hear. Singing happy, happy songs of cheer, child may joy to hear. Every child may joy to hear. Thank you for coming today. That's wonderful. Appreciate your love and support. We'll see if we can do this again. Yeah. We're going to take it on the road, go all the way to Seaside next Sunday. We're talking big time. And Gary just talked about putting a bass to some of this music, so I'm thinking, whoa, who knows where it's going to come next? Who knows? It's going to out of that bag. Yeah.
What will you call yourselves?
I've had one idea, but something like Later Life Pioneers. What do you think about that? Do you like Later Life Pioneers?
Old guys who are lost.
So we haven't settled on it yet. Encore? Okay. All right. Well, you want happy, sad, between something meaningful. I'm not going to give you that choice. I'm going to do one.
Free bird.
We talked a little bit about nature having a way of bringing out that which is from deep, deep within us. And when my first wife died, a good friend of mine said, let me take you to the Grand Canyon. And there at the Grand Canyon, in the throes of tremendous grief, because she died very suddenly of a brain aneurysm, that canyon was kind of like the gouge out of my innards that came with her passing so quickly. And, we were high school sweethearts and grew up together. Entered our professions together and supported each other through a couple of children, the whole works. And she was gone.
So there's this huge, I wrote a poem called Vast Canyon, something like that. And then from that poem came this song. And I have to say that the visit to the canyon spoke to me from a deep place, in a very deep place. And what was remarkable is that I had a sense that the Spirit of Christ, in which my wife, my first wife, now dwells, came very much alive as I sat on the rim of the canyon. And it was like the Spirit was filling me and with a sense of her presence. And I said, thank you, Lord. Thank you for that. It's wonderful how nature can give me occasion to realize a larger reality that we belong to in the resurrected Christ, for sure. There was mystery in man, majesty in her midst, the uncertainty, so the love is. Walk through sorrow, her heart beats song. Right tomorrow, the dawn in her midst. Of lights, great I am is magnified. Bask in grace, see, she was found. Casting grace be, just look around. In the midst, love abides. The great I am is magnified. There is mystery in our makeup, majesty in our midst. None that is certain saves our love says. Walk through sorrow, hearts beat on. Right tomorrow, new day dawns. In our midst, we are known. Love and light in human form. Casting grace, when we discover our worth. Basking grace, doing our purpose from birth. In our midst, love abides. The great I am is magnified. There was mystery in her makeup, majesty in her midst. Gloom returned to glow when she gladly took the risk. Rock the sorrow, her outbeat soul. Bright tomorrow, new day dawns. Rock the sorrow, her outbeat soul. Bright tomorrow, new day dawns. New day dawns. So I have some books that I would be very happy to give you for a donation of $15. And so please feel free to come over and take a look at the book if you haven't seen it before. And if you want me to sign it, I'd be happy to do that. Gary's going to help me with the one end of the table, and I'll be on the other end ready to visit with you if you'd like about this publication. Thank you so much for coming, Zach. We really appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Are you going to tell everybody about the food?
Oh, and let's not forget ice cream.
Yeah. Ice cream. Ice cream. Jeremy, that last song in your book.
Yes. It's called Majesty in Her Rest. M-I-S-T. As I practice today and so on, it's going to be seamless. I think that's we got to see and he said, it's going to make these
who will take the parts most of his name out of refuge. He said, "Keep it
How